Hey, Ernie. Hello. I'll be right back again. I forgot to get water while I was up, so be right back. I need water for painting. That is the song I was looking for. Allie. Allie girl. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, I have returned. Who knows how long I'll be here, but I've returned. Anyway. Alright, let's get the black gray out first, because I want to do the leg pads and the main body pads. And the torch. We'll get to Ripley in a minute. So I did base coat the model off stream. Used Mission Models Highway Yellow 1930 to 1990 heavy equipment. Basically, it's their way of saying this is cat yellow without calling it cat yellow and paying royalties. And it's a pretty good match. I know some people are on the fence about Mission Models paints. The only thing I've found about them that I don't really like is they're very fragile until they're sealed. Even then, sometimes they can be reactivated, especially if you're using like Tamiya over them. Oop. Oh, that's actually for the better. Yeah, still kind of on the fence about Good Smile. I might have to build another example of their kits or two just to kind of get a better feel for their overall quality. Overall, this one was good, a little toy-like, but I think Good Smile is also known. Aries Studios, thank you for the tip. Very much appreciated. Um, what was I gonna say? Where was I? They're made. I think they're known. Where did my paintbrush just go? Drop. There it is. Anyway, they're known for more like toys in the Motoroid line. Um, and you can kind of see a lot of that mindset in the parts breakdown of this kit. It's not bad, but it still has some toy-like qualities. It's like a step below frame arms. How's that? Step below Kotobukiya. Drop. I really got to work on my hand coordination today. So depending on where we go on the power loader today, because we'll probably reach a stopping point. I also managed to pre-paint the parts for the Zentradi battle pod. That thing goes together like an onion, so pre-painting was required. Where are my tweezers? And depending on where we get from that, this kit's been long coming. I'd show the box, but it's massive. So anybody who knows Macross knows the lore. The Zentradi are 50-foot tall humans. That's why the VF-1 was made to transform into a big robot, which is also 50 feet tall. The battle pod is one of the Zentradi mechs. Well, Hasegawa has released the female pod in 70-second scale. And that 50-foot tall alien fits inside this. So this is going to be huge. For a Macross model. Now, one of the keys to brush painting that most people don't tell you, fewer strokes the better. The more strokes you put in, the more chance you have of imparting a grain to the paint. Sometimes it's not avoidable, depending on the confines of the part, but most times you can just give it a single directional swipe and let the paint settle as it should. And also practice the consistency of your paint, how thin it is. Sometimes if the paint's too thick, you'll also get the brush marks. But overall, see, I want to go over that again. So we're going to dampen the brush with a little water, reload it, and just go back over it. 3 strokes. See how that dries. And now this is stuck on the tweezers for some reason. Don't fall. Yeah, don't fall buttered side down, please. Thank you. I know I'm on a bit early today, too. More detailed parts, you kind of got to go multiple different directions, but again, the fewer strokes, the better. So this one, Since wires go here, there's a fine tip there. I'm just going to carefully grab it, put it down. Need a finer point brush. The Enterprise refit is coming along well. I'm just taking a quick break from it. The engineering hull is assembled. I'm waiting on 2 cans of Mr. Surfacer black primer to show up for light blocking purposes. Once that's here, I'll push back into the saucer, finish that up, get the engines finished. I'm looking at the hull sitting over here, by the way. And then begin masking and light blocking. Do as much of that on stream as I can, too. Overall, it's going well, though. Won't be powered by a 9-volt battery. It'll instead be powered by a 11.1-volt lithium polymer battery. So I went from, coal-fired to nuclear power. Because the 9-volt was losing its top too soon and allowing the flasher circuit to influence the other lights, which were also beginning to flash in time. So the larger capacity, higher voltage LiPo battery will last a lot longer and won't let the flashers influence the control of the circuit. And it's rechargeable. It also fits under the supplied base for the kit, so I don't have to worry about a wall wart or anything like that. I can just go. Probably gonna have to touch that up. So let's get into repainting the padding on the legs. Then we can get back into the other stuff. The Vallejo paint doesn't take very long to dry, which means we can go pretty quickly into doing decals. It can, but it dries relatively quickly enough that I can handle the parts. Like, I can handle this and put the decals on here, and there's some that I think go on the legs, just tiny ones, and not have to worry about touching it and marring it up. Vallejo honestly reminds me of the old Poly S paints in consistency and overall texture now. And there was a slight delay in starting today as well. I wanted to be on a little bit sooner, but we had to remap Restream because it decided to completely erase all my settings. So, but we're back. And sorry about not streaming on Monday. I woke up that morning and was essentially bedridden the whole day. Just hurt all over. I really didn't do much of anything. I just lounged around watching movies the whole day, just waiting for my painkillers to kick in, and they never did fully, you know, they didn't do their job. Put it that way. It really felt like that kind of ache you get when you get a like a full body flu or something like that. And if anyone out there is doing any like fine painting like this, get yourself a good set of sable brushes that come to a nice clean point. Because even with the larger brushes, they come to enough of a point that you can cut your line and not have to worry about too much masking. So that needs to get painted blue. The pistons will be painted chrome. I'm gonna wait until the end on that after I do the final seal coat for the decals and and all the oil stains and weathering. That way, the chrome is the last thing on, and it retains its full intensity. Now, the one paint that always remained tacky for me, even way back in the late 80s and early 90s, Tester's Enamel Flat Black. No matter how new the bottle was, how well you shook it, how what you used to thin it, how you applied it, it never seemed to fully dry. This will be getting blue. Get all the other stuff that needs to be painted black and other colors out too. Those are aluminum. These need boots on the bottom painted black. Okay, that's better. I have a feeling today might be one of those slow days for us, though. We'll see. I'll still try and do the same 3-hour stream. Things pick up, we might go longer, as usual. And I want to try and aim for a little more consistency for starting and finishing projects on here. I know I'm terrible at it. Because I would like to get back to our 1/3 scale roller derby character soon. Get her finished up. Okay, those are aluminum. Those are aluminum. Okay. As far as I remember, there's nothing I need to paint black on the arms. Aside from a couple small things. Ow, that was my shoulder. Yeah. Looking at my other example back there. Why is my light flickering? I don't know if the camera's picking that up at all. Now, I do know on the full-size set piece, if you look very, very carefully, there's black right here and in here on both sides. Because that's where the person that was standing inside it, guiding it while Sigourney Weaver was acting, was controlling the arms. Let me get the yellow back out real quick. We'll do some touch-ups. Because I have noticed some scritches and scratches. Excuse me. Sorry. That was a big yawn. While I'm shaking the paint, I'm just going through my music. That's clear blue. Where's my dark blue? I might just have to use Vallejo for that too. We'll have to do a mix. No, this one's better. Prussian blue. for the foot straps and the chest harness, the 5-point harness there. 4-point. Now, I do plan on doing a chipping pass on it, but I want it to be uniform looking, not, actual paint chips. And I didn't get enough paint on there. You can still see some of the more orange plastic showing through. So just covering that up real quick. Didn't exactly do this in a rush, but I could have been better while I did it. We all make mistakes when we're building models. Anyone who says differently is lying. Excuse me again. Oh. I feel like I slept well, but apparently my yawning is telling us otherwise. A lot of times it can be a happy accident. Once the detail painting is done, I'm probably going to give it another shot of clear just to blend everything back together, especially in my repairs here. Because I don't want the flat paint grabbing the wash more than the gloss finish. And Mission Models paint is extremely thin as well, which explains some of the fragility in it. It's primarily designed for airbrushing. It's possible to brush paint it, obviously. However, it's not the best method of application. You really do want to airbrush it. I need to crack a Mountain Dew the way I keep yawning. I did wind up gluing this in place, this piece here. I'm leaving that removable for the moment because there's pieces that have to go here. And while that dries, do that. packages. Yeah, apparently, we're not cat popular today either. They have better things to do. So, and I hope this didn't come across as snobbish to somebody. I was just posting progress pictures of this on a forum, and somebody on there is trying to say, "Well, you need to do this and you need to do that," in terms of like the fine detailing, really getting into the nitty gritty stuff. That kind of shooting on you, not just letting you build the model your own way. And he just wouldn't let up. So I came down and took some pictures of the 1/8 scale one, and just politely said, this isn't my first power loader, but thanks for the advice, and just posted the pictures. He stopped responding. Like, if I wanted the perfect power loader, I'd get the Hot Toys 1/6 scale one. Yeah, that's not happening. I don't have the room or the money to waste on a dust collector like that. Not that it's bad, just it's fucking huge. And again, I like to make things and paint them myself, just not buy pre-made. But I understand that not everybody likes to do that. They just like having the thing in their room. So, if that's your jam, cool. But the building the model is more fun to me. Because, like, in the case of this, you get to learn kind of a little bit about the crew that made it, and even a little bit about James Cameron. Like, he knew that the crew making the power loader was kind of under a crunch. So one night, he just snuck in, left a bottle of wine for them, and this is on the Aliens documentary DVD as well from the quadrilogy. But he left a little note on the bottle that said, "Making power loaders is, thirsty work." So when they were done at the end of the day, they found this wine bottle and enjoyed it. Like, you watch the movie, you'd think that the thing is a lot of metal. It's actually vacuum formed plastic. Gotta clean that up. Go. I need more blue. And I do appreciate people that, they think they're being helpful by giving advice. Like, even I did it at one point where somebody bought a model of the Reliant. It was one of the original issue kits from the 90s. And they bought the decal set for it that Polar Lights released for the Aztec panels. This is the 1/537 scale one. Nobody told them the decals for the sides won't fit because they changed the height of the model when they re-released it. Round 2 went and fixed it, and then when they reissued it, along with the Aztec decals, the decals are sized to fit that newer size, not the original size. I just politely said, hey, you might want to get a newer issue of the kit and use that because your decals won't fit. I'd rather do that at the beginning than when they're building it and they've got it all together and the lights installed and they're starting the decals and all of a sudden, why won't these decals line up? This is why. I need my aluminium. It's over there. Nope. But after today, my next streaming day should be next Monday. I know I said that last week. Um, barring any physical impairment, then we should be doing it. Last week I was physically impaired, so I was not happy about that either. Come on, get off the tweezers. I'm using the Vallejo Model Air Metallics. Again, they can be brushed. You just have to learn the consistency because they're very, very wet and fluid. This will need 2 coats. Just because I can see the orange kind of showing through. Hey, Frankie, how you doing, boy? Frankie, come here. Another thing I'm going to do is on the top of the power loader where the gumball goes. I want to paint this aluminum as well. I don't know if you've ever seen the inside of one of these gumball lights. It's all reflective as possible. That way, even on the model, when the light comes through, it'll bounce off that and light up the beacon a bit, since we're not putting a an LED in it. We're not lighting it. Right now, the Enterprise refit is taking up all of my attention when it comes to lighting things. This brush is getting a little scrappy. I'd have to treat it, reform it. Right now is not the time for emo stabbing westward. I want 90s stabbing like, well, it's all 90s stabbing westward. I want first album stabbing westward. Yeah, that was a ping. I don't have anything to put these on. So I'll have to touch up that little nub. Get this back over here. Don't roll. Don't. Fine. I'll paint one side, then we'll have to go back and paint the other. That's all right. We're about ready to clear coat the power loader and prep for decals. And while that dries, we can paint Ripley. Or at least get the base. The part I just painted decided to flip itself over onto the buttered side. Like nothing touched it. It just went. Bloop. The part just decided to one day go, I'm a real boy! And then, yeah. I can't describe it any other way. It just moved. It's like, what the fuck? I'm just gonna let them dry. And watch, even after I paint them. You're tired, you laughed too hard at that? Or was it just because it was very unexpected for me to do a Pinocchio from Shrek impression? Because that is not normal for me. I'm in danger! God, I wish we were live streaming that. That clip is still saved. The Jack Frost nipples is still saved on Twitch. Frankie, what are you doing? You're just pacing around me. What's the matter, bud? He probably just wants Levins. He sees I'm giving something else attention besides him. Kinetic Medic, thank you for the resub for 61 months. Holy cow. Means I've been doing this for a lot longer than I thought. How you been? How's the little one? Jeez. I'm a father. I've been there, but damn, it seems like it was just yesterday when he was born. All right, time for the dismemberment. So this is all one part. I am not taking these ball joints apart again because it was a pain in the ass to get them in to begin with. So I'm just going to shoot the whole thing gunship gray minus her feet, which get painted white because of the Alien Bug Stompers by Reebok. Excuse me again. Should I shoot it or should I just brush paint it? Let's shoot it. Before that, though, I want to clear coat all the yellow stuff again. Get that ready for decals because we painted some stuff, we touched up some stuff, and then we'll get working on Ripley while that sets. Allie, what are you doing over there, huh? What are you doing? Yeah, come here. We're taking a cat break. Come here. Come on. Come on, girl. You can't jump that far. You're a cat. Come here. What are you doing? Come here. Come on. Good girl. Oh, she's won. Yes. Whoop, boom, on the table. Come here. Yep, she's 1 year old now. Do, 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 do. Mail order fish. Ooh. Research your companies first to make sure that you're dealing with a reputable one. So I guess we're not going to be spraying anything right now because we have an alley on the desk. Want to say hi? Hi. Hi, your grumpiness. Your frumpiness. Yeah. Are you going to get in the camera? I don't have the window open. You can't get up there. Hi, pretty girl. You want to get down? Hmm? I need to spray stuff with the airbrush. I can't do that with you on the table. Yeah. I've noticed that too for all, even the non-Pet Smart Petco type places. They either don't know what they have or they're priced way too high for what they are. Are you doing salt or fresh? I got to put you down, girl, on the ground. So, there you go. Peacock cichlids. Sorry, stretching. I was gonna say just go to the local fish pond with a cast net. Get yourself some good bluegills. You know, a couple minnows, maybe a baby largemouth bass. You're good to go. You've never seen a bluegill under a blacklight, then. And a largemouth bass, when it goes from just regular swimming mode to attack mode, actually changes color and pattern. Oh, and I forgot to paint those black. We can come back and do that. Rainbow trout too, yep. There's probably more other details I've got to paint that I just completely brain farted, but I want to get to the decals, to be honest. The sooner I can get to them, the better. Then I can give it a final coat. Raise this back up. Ooh, we got our midday bencho. Hello? Hello? Oh, hey, it's time for my midday bencho. Awesome. So how are you doing on the scamming today? Make any money or no? They hung up. I fuck with them because what it does, and I know it probably won't, it probably doesn't do anything in terms of like stopping them. To be honest, I'm not pierogi. I'm not, I'm not a scam baiter. But you got to think, if you can take that one guy who's down on his luck enough that he's got to resort to scamming, right? And just, if enough people do that and just shove it in their face, the bullshit that they're doing, right? They'll get disenchanted and they'll quit. Something. You got to hope that just doing that, making them see that what they're doing is bullshit and they're not going to get anywhere, is going to make them stop. Even if it's just one body that's not doing it makes a difference, right? So any chance I get to make them feel like shit, the better. Because they know what they're doing's wrong. They don't care. I know. But the more you reinforce the negativity of it, the more there's a chance they'll stop. At least I like to think that. You never know. And if you keep doing it, they put you on a block list anyway, so you stop getting called. Ever since I started doing it, I've gone from like 10 a day to 2, maybe 3 tops. And I think people like Pierogi and other scam baiters out there that shut down their places are actually doing some good in terms of reducing that as well. But anything I can do to be a pain in their ass and make them wonder if the next call is going to do the same thing, the better. If I can make them hesitate even 5 seconds calling that next victim. Okay. Get some more aluminum painted real quick and then we'll get on with Ripley. The easiest way to identify it is one, this phone says scam likely, and two, you hear that boot of a VoIP software clicking over. That's cool. You want to throw up a link so we can see what she looks like? If I hear that VoIP software thing click over, it's fair game. Oh, he? Okay. I'm just used to Kingdom Death doing she's. Wow, any more ornate, they could be a character in Record of Lodos War. Yeah, anything I can do to make those scammers feel like shit, though. I almost want to do her figure from Nom Nom. I've just got so much printed out right now, it's ridiculous. Well, there's Deedlit, there's Pyrotess, and I think there's some other characters out there from it. And thanks again for the resubs and the bits out there, guys. Anybody watching on YouTube, I don't have anything set up there for that kind of thing. But if you do want to help support the channel, just head right over to Twitch, same username. Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on Lodos War, to be honest. It's just... I'm guessing by the time I saw it, there were better shows out that did the fantasy genre better at that time. I bet if I caught it fresh, I would have appreciated it more, but it just felt like too much of a drawn out D&D campaign in anime form. Do what now? Oh, picture. See, mine's not that big, but I'm pushing toward keeping it from getting that big. I understand it was a D&D campaign. I just wish they could have hit it a little bit better. And be honest, in the end, we were all rooting for Puritas instead, right? And maybe that's what just put me off it. It was just a little too on the nose in that regard. Allie girl, what are you doing? So I think I've got the right color mixed up for her shirt. Or do I? Mm, I'm trying to think, sorry. That's what the smoke coming out of my forehead is, you know. We're gonna shoot this. I still can't get over how they basically ripped off the I believe it was the closing credits music for the bounty for the end scene of Lodos War. I kind of had the same thought. I speak I cannot do today. Same thought because I've got the Defiant, which I built. It was one of my first stream subjects actually, but I've got another one that I'm lighting, so that's going to replace the one I built. And same with the Oberth class, the Grissom. I want to do that and light it. I was thinking of doing something to get rid of those instead of just throwing them out. That way they're just not taking up space either. I need my gunship gray. New Vallejo bottles I really don't like. You can't set them down. And it's only that one. All the rest are normal. But that one, the bottom of it's puckered out when the others are dimpled inward. But it also has the yellow safety lock ring on it, so you know when it's been opened. Let me get the instructions for the female Zentradi suit out of here. Too bad there's not more American Macross fans out there. I know there's a few of you. By that, I don't mean the fans of Robotech. I guess if we switch over to the Battle Pod, we'll find out how many Macross fans are out there. At least the ones watching my channel. Where did that gray go? There it is. No, I haven't. I'm about 3 years behind in my anime watching. I haven't even got through Dragon Maid yet. Even though I did watch my senpai as annoying. That was a neat little show. Sometimes you just need a stupid series to just brain drain to, you know? I'm trying to get through Gluttony as well, but it's getting difficult. Get the fucking robot, Shinji. Try not to go too crazy on the painting because Ripley's never going to be um, posed too radically where you'd see a lot of that. No. I've only seen one other show in that genre, I guess you could say, the post Evangelion time frame that actually worked. Um, that was Razafon, and it wasn't so much real robot, but I don't know, it was odd, but it worked. Probably because they didn't get too deep into explaining the hows and whys of everything. They just kind of let it present itself and ran with it. And I say post Evangelion because it seemed like after that, all the mecha shows really became self aware of themselves. Mm, you'd think that until you watch it again and you see that it was a little bit better than that. It didn't try and get lost within, mixed religious theology ideas. It kind of took the music idea and just ran with it, you know? Maybe because I'm echoing when talking. I shouldn't be. Anyone else hearing it? I've only got the one pickup on. I don't have any others. Do you possibly have two windows open? Because I've got YouTube and Twitch going. So yeah, the only audio input capture I've got going is one. The rest are muted. But still, for good mech anime that isn't too full of itself, Macross is still top dog. I don't care what anyone says. Gundam, Gundam got dumb. I appreciate it. I like big mechs. Um, it got too far ahead of itself. It created too many side stories. I need my gray for this, but I forget where it is. I think it was this one. Oof, it's one of those anime. Yeah, I really don't like the style of this one. It's too surface level that they're just totally making fun and taking the piss out of Gundam and all the rest. Too easy. Oh, from Fist of the North Star? Even too many things have made fun of that, though. And I'm one of those guys. I prefer stuff like Gasaraki and Macross, even Dougram to a degree. When the mecha are in the show, but the show's not about the mecha. I know that just made about 3/4 of you go, huh? You're all doing the cat meme, huh? Huh? But yeah, it was good for the time it came out, but it also got watered down by a lot of what copied it. And the idea itself is a copy of Mad Max. Then there's MD Geist. Oh, you've seen Macross, at least the first part of it. Does the name Rick Hunter, Roy Fokker, any of that ring a bell? Transforming F-14 jet with a skull and crossbones on its chest. Oh, you never watched Robotech then. Macross, the original series, was used to make the first third of Robotech. It's then continued on since in its own various series in Japan, where it originally came from, while Harmony Gold stagnated it here in the US and didn't allow anyone to use it. They didn't allow it to be imported. How Macross Plus got imported back in the 90s was probably just a loophole where they missed it, but they soon caught it. But it's one of the few series to remain consistent within itself in terms of the overarching story and what goes on in it. But it fails in the one area, or it succeeds in the one area Gundam fails, in that it stays consistent. When Gundam started doing, well, you got the Universal Century, and you got this series and that series, and they all didn't really line up, that's when it lost, to me. And yes, I've tried watching it, just can't get into it. Because you watch one and you're thinking, okay, this deals with this. No, it actually happened 20 years before, but how? What? Why? The only thing with more temporal confusion is Star Trek. And at least until recently, no, Gundam doesn't have a multiverse. Gundam has just different stories that happen in different universes. I'm tired of that excuse. Whenever I hear multiverse these days, I hear we're lazy writers. That's what I hear when I hear multiverse. We're hedging our bets because we killed off a character and now we're fucked because that was the popular character that made everything work. That's what multiverse means to me right now. How can we bring back the character cameo and still not have to use him completely? Like Medic said, Razafon stuck its head up its ass. No, Gundam has. At least Razafon had the smarts to end it at that and not go anywhere else. Maybe that's why I like it, because it's its own contained thing. Oh, forget Firebomber, man. Cheryl Nome is where it's at. Then follow that up with some Valkyrie. Oh, I never did check to see if the Aoshima Koenig monster was out. To the Amazon! Not yet, but the Scout Regalt's out. Uh, the whole Gundam multiverse idea is a bad idea. So I'm basically getting Ripley base painted. I want to give the paint 24 hours to cure, just for handling. We can move on to the decals for the power loader, though, because the clear coat I put on cures in like 30 minutes. Well, there's one thing going on in Macross Delta that has a lot of us Macross fans scratching our heads because the last movie from Delta um, it showed something. I don't know if y'all know who Lin Minmay is in the Macross universe. She's like a pop idol. You know, it did the whole music trope before it became a trope. Anyway, throughout all of Macross Delta, they keep hinting at a Lady M. Lady M. There's two characters from the original series with that name, but it may not have been that. Yet in the movie, they show the Mega Road, which is what Hikaru, Misa, and Minmay were on when it supposedly disappeared for a brief instant. So the way they're headed, we might be seeing some old characters coming back. Even though the creators have repeatedly said that their story is done, it doesn't mean that we still can't use them in some capacity. Until that, it was thought they were lost. Like they fell into a black hole or something. I'm guessing they didn't know what to do with them at the time, and they didn't expect Macross to become as popular as it did. The Gundam anime, at least ever since I want to say the second series, has only ever been there to sell kits. The first series gave rise to the kits, but then things changed, so then the series were then the showcase for the new kits. What, you mean what I'm describing in Macross? Mm, not as complicated. Each episode has a slight callback to the previous series, or not each episode, but each series has a minor callback to the previous series in it. Like Macross 7, the captain of the Macross Brain no worky. The captain of the Macross class cruiser in that, or the floating city, however you want to classify it, is Max from the original series, and his wife, Miria. After that, well, around that same time, you get Macross Plus. There's really no tie-ins there, except for that it happens in the same universe, and they're part of one of the expansion fleets that goes to New Eden. You know, it's basically Top Gun but Macross. Then you have Macross Frontier, which has no direct connection except for Firebomber exists in this universe. And one of the main characters is related to a character from Macross Zero. Because the events of Zero and Frontier are only separated by like 40 years. 40 or 50 years. And characters from Macross Plus do show up in the finale of Frontier. A certain cream-colored YF-19 with a really rambunctious pilot. And then same thing in Delta, there's no direct callbacks except one of the main characters in the series is related to Max and Miria from the original series in 7. I never got into Getter Robo. And the like Gunbuster wasn't even really multiverse. Um the the Gunbuster thing, what it's really famous for is it was one of the first attempts to really kind of show how temporal displacement works when you're at near light velocities. Which was it was cool. When that show came out, that was a really cool aspect. That every time they had to do something, especially if they were at near light speed, they'd come back to a completely changed world. I know there's a seam on the hand, I'm not going to fill it. Well, the same could be said for Evangelion, considering that, depending on who you talk to, some people say there's 57 different uh, event lines going. I'll say it's the cycle's repeated at least 6 times, judging by what we saw on the moon in the rebuilds. But the rebuilds are direct sequels to the original series. And that I will die on that pedestal. And I have 4 words that'll tell you exactly how I think they're a sequel. Blood on the Moon. Yep, Kaoru's coffins for one, but also Blood on the Moon, which was sprayed there from the melting ray, whatever that was, in the end of Evangelion. So to me, the rebuilds are and have always been direct sequels to the original. At some point, you think Shinji is, in a way, especially towards the end when things really start hitting home. And Asuka, like the Ava curse, the so-called Ava curse, where they're locked in their bodies at that age. To me, that was because of the resets. Like they were just constantly going back. Because if you look, once Shinji decides to reset the world without the Avas, everybody's freed again and able to age and become normal people. Yeah, since Kaoru was a construct, almost a recycling of the angel's mindset, then yeah, he would understand the cyclic nature of everything going on, which is why he did the things he did because he actually went against the plans. But the next time you watch the rebuilds, especially the first one, if you're familiar with the state of the world at the beginning of the original series and the state of it at the end, look at Tokyo 3. It's heavily destroyed and it's empty. Aside from the characters that we know and the supporting cast, it's empty. It's not it doesn't have any populace in it whatsoever. Whereas in the original series it was a thriving city, which means not everybody was brought back, just enough people to set the events in motion for Shinji. Even the ships that Asuka destroyed at the end of Evangelion are in the mountainside and all over the landscape. Exactly. That and the oceans are red from the end of the first one. He, the only things that got reset were the things necessary for the other events to happen again. So the oceans weren't reset. You know, the universe itself wasn't reset. And that's where I think the Unit 1 came from that they rescued from space. There's a lot that's missing, right? The jump between Rebuild 2 and 3 is really big. And just based on what you can see on screen, and if you take into account the fact that it's a direct reboot, I think the Unit 1 they're getting from outer space is the one from the end of Evangelion that had the lances. Because the other one on Earth was already accounted for and destroyed. It was the one from space they were going to get and bring back. Which calls into wonder, is it even the same Shinji? Ow. And I've got to take a walk around break for a minute. We've been at this for an hour and a half. If you think about it, how many are there? Supposedly, Ray is supposed to be a copy of her spirit each time, or a vessel at least. I'm going to get up and walk around a little bit. Ow. Ah. I'm still down here. I just had to move around. Oh, I had to get some stuff moving. Excuse me again. All right, so let's set these aside because, like Eagle was saying earlier, the Valeos do tend to stay tacky for a day or two. Um, I'm gonna go get some fresh water, and we're gonna start slinging decals on the power loader. So, be right back again. So, what are you using the Mod Podge for? So, you're building the Kotobukiya Metal Gear Ray kit? I've always wanted to get that and the Rex kit, but to be honest, they're really overpriced. For how big they are, they're overpriced. At least all the ones I found. Ah, all right. Trying to remember which one she used in the film. Is it 2 or 4? I think 4 is the one Spunkmeyer was using to load the ammo. Depending where you live, Flight Sim, I live in a very arid environment, so it tends to just suck the moisture right out of things. Ow! I can't see on that one. I'm gonna have to Google. Well, here's the thing. Do I try and print an even larger power loader? It's on the upper arm, kind of in this area. I believe it's number 2. Yeah. Well, in Sydney, it would be humid and wet because it's by the coast. You guys are entering the early stages of autumn down there. I wish I could have got a little more longevity out of my Metal Gear Rex resin kit that I mastered. But, like, shortly after it got released, Kotobukiya came out with the plastic one. Once that was out, me and the guy who were doing the casting, we just decided to cancel it because we couldn't compete with the plastic kit. Roughly the same size, same price point. It's hard to see in the movie shots, but it's there. Look at the scene when she's trying to impress the Marines. You know, the whole "Where do you want it? Bay 12, please." You know. Okay, that decal fit very well. Let me get the other one on, and we'll see how they react to setting solution. And thank you for checking on that Aries, because I didn't have the time to go digging through all the YouTube clips to see if I could make head or tail of it. Ah, bugger. This is not the decal's fault. This is me. Decals are actually working perfectly fine. Just need more water to foster more slidey slide. You'd think I could have also just got up off my lazy ass and go and check the big one right behind me. Get the microsol out. Be nice if I could find a movie correct Queen model to print or assemble to go with this. I printed a very stylized one. You didn't know that? Yeah, they started filming on it after the writer's strike ended. I don't have very high hopes for it, and I think you could probably guess why. It's two words, one actor. He was also the weakest part of Blade Runner 2049, if that helps. Oh, it's Morbin time, all right. When are they going to learn Jared Leto is box office death, not gold? Unless he's only in it for a very small part, kind of like Castor, then it's going to suck. But if he's in it, I'm guessing he's going to be at the forefront. And he's probably going to play some kind of god figure, like he's been trying to do in all his films lately. No, great. Is he going to chrome his teeth and put digital tattoos all over himself, too? I'm glad there's only two Tron movies. And two really good games. You can clip me on that. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I know they hinted at that possibility in the second film, part of what draws people to Tron is the parts that happen in the computer world. As soon as you bring it into the real world, it loses its magic and fun. So, nope. They had a really good animated series they could have drawn on for a sequel, but they didn't. Fuck that. So yeah, there's only two good Tron movies. Or there's only two Tron movies, period. I don't know what this is, but it's not Tron. I mean, hell, put Kevin Smith in charge of it. It could be the sequel to Dogma. But yeah, that they lost it when they took everything out of the computer. Yay! I've got 100 messages with Restream chat. I'm so lucky. Even though the YouTube side of things has been dead as a doornail, I've noticed one or two passersby. I don't know if anyone's actually watching on there. I like Tron because it went to someplace different, not the real world. It was an analog of the real world in the digital. Now they're just bringing it to the real world and making it not Tron. So why can't the fans start a shit show over this like they did with Sonic and get him to actually make a good Tron movie instead of a Jared Leto set piece? Because that was the whole point of the plot of the second film, was not allowing Clue to bring the um, the programs to the real world because they knew the destruction that would cause. Oh, big time. Or as the critical drinker would say, the message. I haven't watched anything Marvel related since Endgame. And even before that, I didn't watch a lot of it out of any sense of fanaticism. I just watched it so the story would make sense when I looked at it. I was under no fanboy illusion of Marvel. Oh, I gotta watch it. It's a Marvel movie. No, fuck that. And as soon as I started seeing that popping up more and more often, I got less and less interested. I had no interest in them because to me, those are characters whose stories had run their course by the point that those shows came out. Yeah, but there's nothing in those that makes me want to spend the money to get Disney Plus to even warrant seeing them. Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of just went dumb after a certain amount of time. But it felt like every time a new show or movie came out, it was supposed to be some kind of groundbreaking spectacle. And then it turned out it wasn't. It was just more of the same, and the people behind it were spouting the same political divisiveness. You know, the same thing with Star Wars. If you don't like this show, you're a bigot. I don't like that show because the characters aren't written well. Great, Disney, you threw out all of the EU for Star Wars that was written that you could have drawn on for stories at the time and done some good stuff for the fans who'd been there for 40 years. But no, you threw it out. And now you've gotten so desperate that you're actually going back and digging through the dumpster for those stories you threw out for characters and storylines, i.e., Thrawn and Heir to the Empire. You know? Which one is it? Are you not going to use the EU or are you going to rape its corpse for ideas? Tell me that's not what they're doing. They're retconning what they did with Rebels. But all these so called fans that are out there now weren't even old enough to read a book when Heir to the Empire originally came out. So Thrawn and everything else seems so new to them. Star Trek, I'm kind of the same way. Anything since JJ Trek in 2009 has been a pale imitation. It stopped looking forward and was looking too inward. I didn't watch Star Trek to be reminded of the shitty world I live in now. I watched Star Trek to look for the future, to see the world that could be. And unfortunately, a lot of Trek lately is so stuck in the shitty world we live in now, or it has to rely on so many member berries that the story is just shit, aka Picard. Fuck it. What makes more sense? take a fucking relabeled Enterprise D into a Borg cube to rescue your friends after stealing the cloaking device for the Titan, right? Okay, we got that. Wouldn't it have just been easier to fix the bird of prey, overpower the engines out of it, and take that to rescue your friends in the Borg cube? You could have stealthed it the entire way, gone in, beamed them out, and gotten out. But we had to take a VIN-swapped Enterprise D on one big last trip. The ship that had the least reason to exist in that universe, period, they brought back. Hell, why didn't they take the refit out for a spin while they were at it? Really let the fans down. Destroy the Enterprise A while they're at it. And deep down, you know I'm right. So ever since 2009, Star Trek has been about violence and revenge. And fear. Even Strange New Worlds, at its core, is fear. Pike knows where he's going. He knows he can't avoid his fate. So fear is at the core of the entire show. All right, catch you later. Nah, I know it's not written by the Family Guy crew, but I get a Family Guy vibe from it, and sorry, I don't want toilet humor. And yeah, I know there's plenty of callbacks. I know they've gotten all the old DS9 and Voyager cast members to do appearances. Um, they even have that little stupid trapezoidal robot that nearly destroyed the Enterprise in Next Generation. Some episodes. I know about all the throwbacks. It just doesn't interest me. I'm too jaded, too worn out. When it comes to stuff like that, I want something new now. I'm tired of retreading, you know? I don't have faith in anything like that anymore. Like the only reason I watched The Last of Us on HBO is because the wife wanted to watch it. She didn't have the patience to play through the entire game, which is fair. I'll give her that. Overall, it was a pretty faithful adaptation of the first game. There's a couple odds and ends I wish they hadn't changed. The whole Bill episode, it gave you the background of the character that you didn't get in the game, but at the same time, the game conveyed what you needed to know about that character without overstaying its welcome. It was a good episode, but I felt it did overstay its welcome a little bit. And it robbed us. I gotta turn this down. It robbed us of one of the more cinematic moments of the game, i.e., the high school gym uh, level, which people were honestly wanting to see live action. They want to see the bloater fight in the gym. Instead, we see bloaters come up from underground. Kind of. So I get what they did from a cinematic standpoint, but at the same time, was it necessary? It didn't change anything about the character, just it fleshed out his background a little more. It also killed him off before we meet him in the game, which is unfair because you're supposed to meet the character in the game and have an adventure with him. Sorry if I seem picky about that kind of stuff. It's just that's the way I look at things, you know? Yep, yep. And as far as the sequel series, I got no interest in that because the one thing I took away from the second game is that nobody learned their lesson. In the end, both people came out damaged, and nobody learned. The hate was still there. And that's been a thing going through a lot of modern storytelling these days is there's no true consequence for the actions for anybody. So we might stop stream once I'm done with these decals because they'll have to set, and it'll have been almost 3 hours by the time I'm done. Sorry for going on a bit of a rant. Just as an audience member, if you're making an adaptation of something, there's certain expectations that are set that didn't get delivered, in any modern media. If you notice, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between legs and arms, so I don't overdo it on any one part. I forget where these go. Unless these are supposed to be in here. I think they are. I have to look at the other one. One moment. Yep. Okay, so here on the leg, this is supposed to be a stylized Caterpillar logo. But the way they made it, so they could get away with not doing Caterpillar, they made it separate pieces. Even on the box art, if you look in the film, it actually has Caterpillar embossed behind Ripley's head at the top of the power loader. That's even on the prototype image on the box. It's not in the kit, though. So at some point, this kit had that, and then they had to take it off. I'll show you. Box over here. Sorry, I just threw it on the floor. I'll pick it up when I'm done. But look right there behind her head. Right there. Let's get it in focus. It says Caterpillar. That is there on the full-size piece. And this is obviously a prototype of the model. That should be right there. And it's not. It stuck to my finger. And the reason my other kit has it is that it's an unlicensed garage kit. Yeah, it's not even on there. So, being that, they were allowed to do it. And the likeness can even look like Sigourney Weaver. I'm going to have to get this larger resin kit out one of these days just to show you guys. I'm just afraid of handling it because it's so large. Don't want to break it because I can't replace it. There we go. Just a few more decals to do. At least the decal sheet is very comprehensive. Woo! That could have been bad. Now, word of warning. I caught that because it was still on the desk. If your X-Acto knife starts falling, don't try and catch it. Don't close your legs. Don't do anything. Just let it fall. If anything, move your legs out of the way further. Just let it fall. Because you could easily wind up stabbing yourself in the femoral artery if it falls between your legs the wrong way. Or you could wind up hurting yourself trying to catch it. I've actually had one fall. I didn't catch it, but I didn't move my feet out of the way far enough. It actually stabbed me in the top of my toe. Just making sure the decal snuggles down into these well, so I'm using the X-Acto to cut any film that may be there. Sometimes repeated application is necessary, especially if you don't know the decals. Like, I don't know the decals made by this company at all, so I don't know how they react, any of that. The legs are essentially done for markings. Got to go back and repaint the backside parts that need to be black. The rest of the decals go on the arms. That missed. Pick it up. Ow. 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 I do have to say these decals release really well. They seem to be reacting to the setting solutions pretty well. They have kind of an odd, uneven flat finish about them. So I'll be sealing them before I do any weathering effects, like grease staining, anything like that. I don't know how that's going to pick up the washes and stuff that I use. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. There it is. It's dumped out my setting solution. That would not have been good. Oh no, don't you dare. I've always hated doing decals. Especially on things where you can't just go, oh, I need a new set for my F-16 or my A7 Corsair. Yeah, not everybody out there is doing aftermarket decals for power loaders. It's a popular subject, but not a common kit. I was hoping to get to the at least the first wash today, but I don't think that's going to happen. Not unless I come back on later tonight. Just seems like every time I'd like to, well, life has other ideas. That's how this works, isn't it? Is this the Stalker soundtrack? I think so. Yep. These are laying down really well, though. Ah! You doing all right, Aries? I know, it's gotten quiet in here. Once I finish these last 4 decals, I'm probably gonna shut down for a bit. Uh, then do it. I'm trying to avoid the nap trap myself. I just hope my rants don't put people off. On YouTube, at least. Oh well. If anyone says anything, I'll just stream Generation Zero and show them the field where I grow the fucks. And they shall see that it is barren. Admit it, that got a laugh out of you the first time I did that too. Up by 3 windmills. Alright, that is all the decals. There's still some more painting details to throw in. We'll get to those when we get back to Ripley. But it's been 2.5 hours, which is good average length for a stream. So next stream, I could either work on this more, or we can work on the refit more, or the Zentradi pod from Macross, or the female Zentradi pod. That's going to be candy red, though. If you want a quick primer on Macross Aries, go watch Do You Remember Love? It's on YouTube. I'll send you a link later. But yeah. Long-running series, a lot of good history. And as the series went on, it understands that each time it comes out, it's not going to be 15-year-olds watching it. It's going to be people my age who started in 1982. It really doesn't treat you stupid. Even if it seems like it will for a second, it turns right around and you go, okay, it's good. You know? It's one of the things I like about it as well, is it really doesn't treat its audience stupid. But that'll be it for today for now. Everybody have a good day. Thank you again for the tip, and thank you to Kinetic Medic for the resub. Again, sorry about the rants, but it is what it is. It's what me as a Joe Schmo sees when I look at current anything these days. Just a lot of bullshit. So, you'll have a good day.